Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm going to do something a little different. I normally don't dabble in any kind of salt or controversy or anything like that as much as I possibly can. I usually leave the salt up to Alex and Frit, who I watch quite regularly. Um, but a little while ago on Alex's stream, he featured a channel called The Canadian Gamer, and of one of his videos, let's see here, Valve Steam Deck fanboyism and elite running wild within the gaming community, a rant. Well, in brackets it says rant. Um, this video kind of ticked me off when I was watching it on Alex's live stream because, yeah, he has so many things wrong about the Steam Deck, and um, him being a Canadian like myself, yeah, I don't know. Canada does have a smaller population, but there are still jerks out there, and I suppose with the U.S. population being so much bigger, like two to three or even maybe four times as many people, it's just a lot more prevalent in the States on the world stage, like the how it's portrayed and stuff, that Americans are jerks and Canadians are nice kind of deal. But yeah, I really didn't like this video. I have it pulled up here on my iPad. I will probably cut in segments in with this video. I did download it and stuff, so yeah, it's not going to be just me holding the iPad. But I'm going to use the audio from this video kind of as a reference point for when I need to add in segments of his video. But yeah, how many subscribers does he have? 3.34K. He's just a little bit bigger than me. But alright, let's
How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another rant. Now today, wanted to get something off my chest. Wanted to talk about
also, Alex pointed out, it does say that the video is 1080p, but yeah, the video quality looks like that of an Xbox Live camera. I forget what they called it for the Xbox 360. It looks a little grainy. The white balance is off, as he mentioned, and the lighting is not that great. I know my lighting is not perfect here in this video, but I'm just using the light that's in my closet because I can't really set up any studio lights or anything in here. But I think even my lighting in this video is better than his. He's got an Xbox there, and on the right side of the screen there, and some Xbox games, and he's got some retro games behind him, which is kind of I think ironic that with some of the things he says in this video is just, yeah, well, let's continue.
to talk about Valve's handheld, the Steam Deck. Yes, the Steam Deck. So there's a lot that I want to say.
And then he uses a low-res quality photo of the Steam Deck.
About this product. I don't think we're going to be able to cover it all in today's video. But where do we even begin with this thing? So the Steam Deck launched earlier this year, I believe. And yeah, let's just get this out of the way. It's not cheap. You have to order it directly through Valve, right through the Steam website. So yeah.
Yeah, the price is a little high, but for what you get, it's actually pretty decent. Like my PS4 Pro, my Spider-Man PS4 Pro, cost me about the same as a 64 gig Steam Deck a few months ago. Um, so it's not like it's outrageous. Like I don't know if it's Iron Neo or Iron Odin or one of the other handhelds is like $1,200. Um, so relatively speaking, I would say that the pricing is pretty fair for the Steam Deck. I do wish it did come with more storage, but um, you'll see in this video. But you can actually upgrade the internal SSD in the Steam Deck. So the maximum capacity that you're able to get at this point in time is a 2 terabyte SSD, but it is expensive. I think I found one on eBay for about 450, $480 Canadian, shipped. Um, so it's it's like 75% of the cost of the Steam Deck, but I think having that kind of capacity is nice. And then you can also get a 1 terabyte micro SD card to then increase the storage even more. I'd probably recommend using less powerful or less demanding games on the micro SD card, like some indies, or even like, for example, Vampire Survivor would probably run fine off of the micro SD card. But something like Spider-Man or God of War or something like that, I would not recommend actually putting on the micro SD card because the read and write speeds are not quite sufficient on the actual micro SD card to actually run the game properly. You'll probably end up getting some choppy frames and some stuttering and some not that great performance as opposed to having it on the actual SSD, which has a higher read and write speed compared to the micro SD card. But I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but let's continue on with this video.
Have to log in and create a Steam account. And the console, the idea of the console, it's basically a Nintendo Switch knockoff, if you will.
See, okay. Yes, you have to create a Steam account, but it's free. Anybody can do it. Just like if you were to create a YouTube account or a Facebook account or a Twitter account. Like, it's totally free to do so. I did put the Steam Deck in my wish list on Steam, and I've had Steam for a number of years, but I just haven't been able to play any games at this point in time. But yeah, and he'll also mention that you need to have a subscription. There is no subscription with Steam and stuff like that. What else did he say? Let me go back. This I'll probably just keep in this video.
You have to order it directly through Valve, right through the Steam website.
Yeah, the reason that you have to order it directly from Valve is because they're made to order. So they didn't mass market, mass produce these Steam Decks because there are the 3 variants of it. They're also it appears that they learned from their mistakes with the Steam machines, because they did mass produce those, and they also had third-party companies produce Steam machines, and it was so difficult to figure out which Steam machines were actually decent, which ones were not so good, and which ones were the best value, because there were thousands, well, okay, we'll say hundreds of different models of Steam machines, and it was similar to having a console, and they also had like the oh, I forget what it's called. They had like the console-esque dashboard with SteamOS, to be able to just use a controller to access all your stuff. But the reason that died out is because like the the common people, or like people who aren't like tech savvy, wouldn't know which ones they were getting or what. It was a mess. It was such a mess when the Steam machines were around. Um, and a lot of times you didn't really know what you were getting. Um, but this time they just have three SKUs, with different memory, but the top tier model, the 512 gig, does have a different screen on it. Um, and let me think here. And of course the storage capacity. But yeah, other than that, there's no real difference between the three models. Um, the the 256 and the 64 gig both use the same screen. They come with the same case. Um, the 512 comes with a slightly different case. It's got a different logo on it. And it also comes with a little pouch for the charging cable that you can stash in behind. But I think the I think the case that comes with the other two models is basically the same case. Oh, and the material is different on the inside from the 512 compared to the other two. But every like the motherboard and the processor, the the RAM and everything else is basically identical. There's no difference. But okay, let's continue with this video here.
So you have to log in and create a Steam account. And the console, the idea of the console...
Oh, right. He calls it a console. It's not a console. It's a handheld PC. It runs Linux. And it also has the SteamOS on it as well. And you can swap between the two. And it also gives you more freedom as opposed to the Switch, which has its own OS, which is very limited. The operating system on the Vita was way better, in my opinion. You could do a lot more. You had a web browser, you had party chat, you had your trophies, you had, I know maybe trophies aren't necessarily important to everybody, but you had, what else? You also had your system link. What would they call it? Like, you could, if you're somewhere and you're connected through Wi-Fi, you could play your PS4 games or your PS3 games running off of your console at home. Like if you were in a coffee shop, for example, and you had your PS3 or PS4 connected to the internet and you could turn it on remotely, you could play your console games in a coffee shop or in a McDonald's or at a hotel or something like that that had Wi-Fi, and hopefully decent Wi-Fi. But yeah, it was a lot more versatile on what you could do. And then you had your memory cards, game cartridges, and then the thing that kind of sucked was that the Vita had proprietary memory cards for saving your games, which sucked because they were stupid expensive, and they also offered very little in return for storage capacity. But the Vita, the Switch, the DS, the 3DS, those are consoles. Those are handheld consoles, and I like handheld gaming. But the Steam Deck does offer you a lot more in terms of being able to install other programs and emulators and a whole slew of stuff. Like I see he's got the NES Classic behind him there. He could, if he wanted to, he could get a Steam Deck and install. I don't know the emulator's name, but there is an emulator that will run NES games, and he could probably install every single NES game ever produced on the Steam Deck and play them.
It's basically a Nintendo Switch knockoff, if you will.
Oh yeah, he calls it a knockoff. Usually knockoffs are cheaper and lower quality and not as capable as what they're knocking off. Like I watched Rich from Review Tech USA get a knockoff PS5 from AliExpress, and it was like maybe $100 or whatever, $75 US. And it looks like a PS5, but it's just got a system on a chip and plays NES and retro games and stuff like that, and it's not very good at all. But that's a knockoff. The Steam Deck is actually more expensive than the Switch, even the Switch OLED. Now, one thing that kind of sucks that I wish the Steam Deck came with was an OLED screen. But I do also like the screen on the PS Vita Slim. It's a pretty decent LCD screen, and from what I've seen in videos, it looks like the same type of screen as the Slim Vita, and it's still a pretty decent screen. So, yeah. All right, let's continue.
Very similar aesthetically to the Switch. Obviously, it's more powerful. The Steam Deck's got about as much power as, let's say, a last generation console, if you will.
I don't know why I had the added the laugh track, but still, the PS4 and the Xbox One are still decent consoles. The base, maybe not so much, but like the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro were definitely decent upgrades. I think that's what the base models should have been at before when they released. But yeah, I think he's trying to be funny or something, but it doesn't come across as funny. At least in my opinion, it doesn't come across as funny. It comes across as a bit irritating.
So there's a lot of greasy neckbeard nerds in the community that have their dicks right in the air over the Steam Deck. And so let's take a look at the prices, shall we? So I've got it right up on my screen here. So an entry-level Steam Deck, get this, it's
Okay. The entry-level Steam Deck at $499, that was the price of the base PS4 in Canada. So it's still the same. It's still the same for us as getting a PS4. Yeah, it comes with only 64 gigs, but it's the same as what comes in a Switch OLED. So for the value, it's not too bad. Now if you were to get a Steam Deck, I would highly recommend maybe getting the base model and then upgrading the internal SSD if you're savvy enough to do it. There are tutorials on YouTube. I saved one that I found that's very, very helpful in my watch later list. But if you're not so tech savvy, then maybe spend the money, or like not tinker savvy, I suppose would be more accurate. But or if you know of somebody, or of a friend or somebody that knows computers, or is handy with tools and being able to partially disassemble the Steam Deck and then swap out the SSD and reinstall the OS and all that stuff that goes into swapping out the SSD, then I would suggest going that route. that's the route I plan on taking. But if you're somebody who is not able to do it yourself or know somebody who can do it for you, then I would recommend maybe going for the 256 or even the 512, and then getting a 1 terabyte micro SD card. Let's see what else has he got here.
$199 Canadian. I don't know what the shipping and handling is on the console. Again, you can't buy it at retail. And that comes with 64 gigabytes of memory. And then you can get the next model up, which jumps up to $659 Canadian. So at that point, it's more expensive than a Series X or a PlayStation 5. And you can get 256 gigabytes of memory SSD, $659.
Okay. Since I'm doing my video this way instead of like on my computer, just give me a moment here. I think, yes. Right here I have a 1 terabyte WD Black NVMe SSD, but this is the longer format. Like a longer stick, whereas the NVMe storage on the Steam Deck is a much smaller SSD. I think it's a 227 is the sizing that it does, and this is, I have no idea. SN750. Yeah, I don't know. Can't see without my glasses too well. Hang on here. Just trying to see if I can figure out the sizing of this. BK2100C, I don't know if that's... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they determine the sizing of this, but this 1 terabyte SSD, I think cost me about $350 to $400 Canadian on its own. I got it with very fast read and write speeds of 30 megabytes per second. Says it right there. So it's a very fast SSD. I was just going to use this as like maybe a boot drive and throw maybe a few games that I need. Yeah, these SSDs are not that cheap, especially when you go into a smaller form factor as what is in the Steam Deck. So it does make more sense. I don't know. This one might even fit in a PS5. I'm not sure. But let's continue.
And then for $819 Canadian, you can get the Cadillac model, which comes with 512 gigabytes with SSD. So, yeah, not cheap. You can't go into a regular brick and mortar store. You can't go into Walmart and take a look at one of these things. Heaven forbid you want to look at one before you purchase.
Clearly, this guy has never done online shopping. Because quite often when you do online shopping, you do not get to see the physical product that you purchase. So, I've ordered plenty of things online without physically seeing them, seeing just pictures and images. But there are also tons of videos on YouTube about the Steam Deck. There was one YouTuber, I forget his channel name, but he tested the durability of the Steam Deck. So he scratched it up and he marked it up and he cut the buttons and stuff to see if it was just maybe a surface thing. But no, the lettering is actually all the way through the button. There are people who are showing the capabilities of the Steam Deck. Like, you're not going into buying it completely blind. I have watched several videos because I'm interested in the Steam Deck because I love handheld gaming. So, like, I'm assuming that he's never purchased anything off of Amazon or eBay or Etsy or Wish or AliExpress, because, as I said, you don't see the physical products. This mask I bought off of Etsy. I didn't see it. I didn't touch it. I only went by pictures. This Mandalorian Mythosaur skull chain that I have, I bought the pendant with the chain. I just went by pictures. I did have to buy a better chain. This stainless steel chain I also got off of either eBay or Wish, because the chain that this Mythosaur skull came with was very, very cheap and was actually rubbing off on my neck and stuff and leaving a residue because it was such a cheap quality chain. But I bought this chain. What else? The Christmas tree. The Christmas tree I bought off of eBay from China. I think it was like 35, 36 bucks Canadian, free shipping. I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to touch it. Like, that's the experience you get when you're shopping online. But there won't be videos on, say, this Christmas tree that I have here. I don't know if it's in frame or not. Can't quite see. There are no videos on wrestling masks, as far as I know. There might be, but maybe there's a channel there that reviews a whole bunch of wrestling masks from Mexico and stuff. I have tons of products. My lightsabers, I didn't get to touch them. I didn't get to feel them. I just went off of some videos that I watched online about certain models and stuff. And what else? Yeah, like, that's just how it works when you shop online.
Heaven forbid you'd want to look at one. So you have to roll the dice and order one of these online. Wait God knows how long for it to arrive. And then when
it usually ships in 1 to 2 weeks when it's available, which it currently is as I'm recording this video. And I'm not entirely sure where they're shipping from. I just know that's in the States. I don't know which state which state they're shipping it out of. Yeah. And it also depends on where you live. If and when I'm actually able to order the Steam Deck, I'll write down the date, and I'll write down the date of when I purchase it, and I'll write down the date of when it ships, and I'll write down the date of when I receive it. Yeah, hopefully I get a shipping notification, but yeah, like it doesn't take them that long. Like with Ultra Sabers, it was about the same lead time before the pandemic. Was about a week or two. They would have it shipped out, and I'd probably receive it within like the second or third week. I'd have my lightsaber. They did do that a couple times when I ordered from them. When I ordered from them during the pandemic, But yeah, let's continue.
Finally does arrive. You get to be the cool kid on the block because you know why, folks? You've got a Steam Deck, okay? Big fucking deal. Where do we even begin with this fucking thing? Where do we even begin? I think I would rather have a Nintendo Switch than a Steam Deck. So,
I don't understand why you'd rather have a Switch than a Steam Deck when you have access to a lot more games through the Steam Deck, even though their system for compatibility is broken, because a lot of times it'll say that a game is incompatible with the Steam Deck, but yeah, it's perfectly playable, no problems, no issues, or anything like that. And then I think there might be a few games that say that they are compatible with the Steam Deck and they're completely broken. So it's not accurate as to whether or not a game is playable, because they don't really fully test it. They just basically load up the game and see if it goes to the main menu, and that's almost as much testing as they do. It doesn't determine whether or not a game will run well or efficiently or whatever. It's not a determining factor as to whether or not a game will run. And the point that I was going to try to make was also that there's an emulator for Steam for Switch games. You can play your Switch games on the go on your Steam Deck, and because the Steam Deck has better performance and better parts and is more powerful than the Switch, your games will actually run better on the Steam Deck than on the Switch. Like even, for example, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet runs like crap on the Switch right now, but if you were to get the emulator and the ROM, you would have actually a much better experience on the Steam Deck. Yeah.
my biggest gripe with the Steam Deck, other than the price and the fact that you can't even go into the store to look at one, is the fact that Valve has pretty much put a fucking gun to your head as a consumer and told you the only way that you can play games on this piece of shit console is if you subscribe to Steam.
There is no subscription to Steam, but you don't have to run their games. I think there are, I haven't seen videos yet, but there are ways of installing GOG, the Epic Games Store, and what else was there? And other storefronts. Even I think maybe the Microsoft Game Store you can maybe install on your Steam Deck as well, because it's running Linux. So however you install those other applications on Linux, they will run. So you don't have to play Steam games alone. And I think those other storefronts will recognize that the Steam Deck, recognize the Steam Deck as a controller, so you can control it as a controller in those stores. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm getting a little ticked off at this guy, but you can also run emulators for older games as well.
Valve's online store and be able to purchase games digitally. You can't run physical games on the Steam Deck.
Well, it's a portable PC. PC doesn't even have physical games anymore. There might be the odd one that you might be able to pick up at Walmart or something like that, but they're usually the cheap gambling type games or whatnot. But oh man, It's a handheld PC. And it is way better than having a laptop. Yes, you can get a more powerful laptop, but holding something like this, I know it's an iPad, but holding a controller like this as opposed to having a laptop on your lap and having to use a mouse and maybe the keyboard and stuff and trying to figure out how you're gonna. Yeah. It is doable. It's possible, yes, but honestly, I'd rather have something in my hands that I'm controlling. Okay, I'm gonna just give me a moment. I'm gonna go grab something else as a better example. Alright, I'm back. I grabbed my Game Boy Advance because it's the only handheld I had handy right now. But I'd rather play like this. I know it's smaller than the Steam Deck, but you kind of get my point that, like, I'd rather have something like this as opposed to having a laptop. Like that. Now, if you're at a coffee shop, or if you're at McDonald's, or if you're at, or say, a restaurant or something like that, then yeah, you can bring a laptop along with you. But it's just more convenient to have an actual handheld. Yeah. Let's see what else he says. It's been a little while since I watched this video, so. And play your games that way. Apparently there's significant compatibility issues with the Steam Deck. So I heard from someone who has a Steam account on their computer, and they've got like over 350 games. And when they booted up their Steam Deck and logged into Steam, the Steam Deck was only telling him that only about 150 titles could potentially run. I have a question. Did he actually try to boot up one of those games that said it was incompatible? Because chances are, if he tried to do that, then the game probably would have run just fine on the Steam Deck. The whole compatibility thing is a misnomer. It means nothing. I don't know why Steam even brought that out, but yeah. Properly on the Steam Deck. Wrap your fucking head around that. Good lord. You've built up this huge catalog of digital downloads on your PC, and then you log on to the Steam Deck, which you'd think wouldn't have any issues running every single game in your catalog, and apparently it's not the case. There's compatibility issues. Which brings me to my next point. If the fucking console had Windows installed, it would be so much better. It would probably chug. It probably wouldn't be able to handle Windows that well compared to having Linux, because Windows is such a memory hog at times. I've even noticed it on my laptop that sometimes I can't quite do what I want to do on it. Linux is a much lighter load on the Steam Deck. You're actually going to get access to more of your RAM and more internal storage and stuff like that. It's not such a hog. Windows is slightly bloated, especially when it comes to handhelds. Like, even the other handhelds that are on the market that run Windows aren't as capable as the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is the only one that I know of that is actually running Linux, and where Steam actually has their own OS on it as well. So technically it runs two operating systems. And it can handle things just fine. Ecosystem, folks. Now
right? Right? You could run your emulation. You could run your...
It already can run emulation. It can run Dolphin and all the other emulators out there. And there's even a quick access menu that you can quickly download all the emulators off of on the Steam Deck. As far as I know, I could be wrong, but just from what I've seen in other videos, it's very easy to run emulators on the Steam Deck.
Abandonware, you could run DOSBox, you could fucking log into good old games. But no, Valve puts a pistol to your head and tells you have to become a member of Steam if you haven't already. And that's how Valve makes their money, right? You buy the Steam Deck, they get your foot in the door, right? And they get your buy-in, they force you to download Steam and start accumulating.
It comes with the Steam OS already on it, so you don't need to download Steam at all. And when Steam first came out, I absolutely hated it. I thought it was pointless, it was worthless, it was garbage. But it has been around for a couple decades at least, and it has vastly improved over that time span. And in 2020, the Christmas of 2020, I spent some of my money and I bought I think it was 25 or 30 games on Steam for $200, and they were all deeply discounted. I bought I think it was $800 or $900 worth of games for $200. It might have been, they might have been even valued at higher than that too. But I bought quite a few games, because they had a massive Steam sale for Boxing Day, and thankfully I had some money at the time. But yeah. All right, let's continue.
Digital downloads, which is essentially a rental service.
Oh, it's not a rental service. You actually own the games. You can even take the files that you downloaded and transfer them to other devices and stuff like that, and they will run. I currently have all my Steam games downloaded and installed on an external mechanical hard drive. I think I have a 4 terabyte external hard drive that I have all my Steam games installed on. All I have to do is plug it in and I can access all of them.
And all you fucking neckbeards out there fell for it. Oh my fucking god. Every single person I've spoken to that bought a Steam Deck, you know what they're doing with their Steam Deck? They're sitting there staring at it. It's a fucking paperweight, okay?
Well, of course you're going to be staring at it. Hang on, let me put this down. You're supposed to stare at it while you're playing on it. Come on. I know that's not what he means, but still, you're supposed to be. Technically, you're supposed to be staring at it while you're playing it and stuff like that. Whether or not they're actually playing, I have no idea.
Good fucking lord. Good lord. You'd be further ahead to spend $700 or $800 on a decent laptop, not a gaming laptop.
Yeah, being able to find a decent laptop that would actually be able to be as capable as the Steam Deck for that kind of price would be difficult. You could probably get an Acer for that price point, but Acer uses a downgraded CPU. They use the cheapest parts possible, and usually they will die within a year or two. Acer is so crap. You're better off buying a Chinese laptop than Acer. Yeah, in 2008, right around Christmas time, Our house got broken into and my laptop was stolen along with a whole bunch of other stuff. I tried to go with a cheap laptop that I could game on. I could not do that. I ended up having to get a more expensive laptop to be able to game on. And, like, yeah. It's not, when it comes to electronics and certain other things, you do not want to cheap out. Unless, like if you can get a good deal on something and get the same product, that's different. But like the example I used earlier of buying of Rich buying that knockoff PS5, like that's dumb. It's like going out. It's like, oh, I can go out and buy a PS5 right now, but I think I'm gonna order this cheap knockoff console off of AliExpress. Like, going cheap is not a smart move. Like this current Game Boy Advance that I have here was not cheap. I don't have a game in it. I have shown this off before, but it has a backlit IPS LCD screen, and I can adjust the brightness on it and stuff like that. The original Game Boy Advance did not come like this. This thing cost me almost as much as a Steam Deck. I bought this, I think, 2 or 3 years ago with some money I was getting from the government at the time. This thing was about $300 or $400. I chose the shell, I chose the buttons, and they installed the screen and everything, and the main board and everything like that. And this thing does actually have a serial number and has the proper tag on the back. But yeah, I did not cheap out on this Game Boy Advance. Now I did cheap out on buying a Game Boy Advance SP, but I got the AGS 001 and I wanted the 101. But then I got this one. I still have the Game Boy Advance SP, but I tell you, the screen is crap. It's playable, but as soon as you're in the sunlight or something like that, you can't see anything on the screen. All right, let's continue.
It's a decent laptop, and install your games on the laptop through Windows. So what I'm seeing in the community,
right? The laptop. I ended up getting an Asus gaming laptop, and I must say that I have fallen in love with the quality of their products. I currently have an Asus laptop. It's a gaming laptop with a GTX 1070 in it. I bought it brand new in winter of 2017, I want to say. I still use it today. It has not slowed down on me. It has not degraded all that much, and I use it quite often. That's what I use to edit my videos, because I did not have space to actually use my desktop PC in the house, and I currently can't even use it right now in the apartment the way that things are set up right now. But yeah, the laptop was the way for me to go. It takes up less space. I can take it almost anywhere I want to go, but I use it for productivity. It is capable of gaming, but because it is running a GTX 1070, it is limited on what I can play and at what resolution, and the frame rate and all that stuff is not very powerful. but the computer that I plan on building will be a lot more powerful and a lot more capable, and I'll be able to do AAA gaming and also superior indie gaming as well, compared to what I'm currently at the moment. But you never want to cheap out on that stuff. But anyways, and that my current laptop cost me like $2,500 Canadian.
There's a lot of elitism and consumerism surrounding this device. There's a lot of gamers out there, they call themselves gamers, and they buy the Steam Deck just so they can pump their chest in the air. Look what I have, look what I have, I've got the latest gizmo, I've got the Steam Deck, ladies and gentlemen, look what I...
Well, you see the same kind of, well, you see that more prevalent when it comes to like people owning a Tesla. So, oh, I've got a Tesla, oh, I've got like such and such car and stuff. So, but honestly, I have not seen any videos where somebody says, "Oh, I got the Steam Deck," and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's nice to have. It's cool to game on, but it's like you see that more with like Tesla owners.
I have, look what I have. Fuck off. Wrap your fucking heads around that. For a mid-tier Steam Deck, $659 Canadian, plus shipping and handling. You can't test it out before you buy it. You can't even touch it or look at it. You have to order it through Valve's website.
Yeah, now he's just running around in circles. I think I'm going to end this video here. But, yeah, I don't really want to show the whole thing. My throat is dry. I've been talking for a long time, and I'm not much of a talker. I'm more somebody who listens and likes to take in stuff. But this video really irked me. This also took me a long time to record. Longer than I've talked in a long time. I don't even talk this much in my live streams. Yeah, it's a neat product. Yes, it's niche, but I think it'll do quite well over the long term. And there have already been talks by Valve that they will probably produce an upgraded version down the road, a second iteration, and they might keep going with it. And it is also nice that they're still supporting it. They're coming out with new updates all the time, as far as I know, and they're free updates. Improving stability, improving functionality, and improving ease of access to certain things too, as far as I know. Yeah, I would love to get my hands on a Steam Deck, but I just currently can't afford it with the job that I'm currently working. And it's also interfering with my ability to record videos. I don't know when this video will go out. It'll also take me longer to edit this video than normal. I hope those of you who've watched this video and hopefully watched this far have enjoyed it. And if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit the like button and maybe leave a comment down below. And I'll leave a link to the original video in the description. And I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.